Yeah. So thinking about what do we want? What do we want out of our future? Or what do we want out of our immediate future? Goals? What type of success? There's, so many people that are suffering from just a lack of happiness, not having joy, not feeling fulfilled, not feeling like they're getting what they want out of the life that they're living. And it's it's crazy. Why do we go through this? Um, this feeling of you might accomplish so many things that are on your checklist, and still, you're feeling like maybe there's things that aren't as fulfilling as you thought they would be. And I think that what we intellectually understand is different than what we emotionally believe. You know, our mind might understand, that we need to be able to accomplish certain milestones that we're told in order to have the successful life or to have the fulfilled life. And then once you start getting those things and you get there, it may not always feel like it's exactly what you wanted because one, your belief, where it's not always conscious, subconsciously, what you might believe is that some of the things that you wanted, you were never truly deserving of. And now that kind of is something that's been boiling inside of you without you really understanding that or comprehending it, when risks that you felt, things that got you out your comfort zone, that you had to take, you weren't willing to do because you felt that you didn't believe you can accomplish it, or you don't believe that you were a worthy recipient. So you go the comfortable route. You go with what intellectually, logically works, but you end up remaining unhappy. You don't have the full feeling of fulfillment or joy because you followed, you know, something that spoke to your mind, but you have to understand your emotion, your heart is a big part of feeling and drive and willpower, and fulfillment. It's a second brain, understands it, it knows things, and it taps into a different realm, different part of the world that you don't see when you're only thinking based off of the lens of what you perceive and what seems logical because it's more rigid. The mind is not so much something that's a purveyor of thoughts, but it's a recipient receiver, and a transmitter at the same time. So sometimes the things that you receive, the thoughts, um, you become conditioned, you know, by both the positive and the negative, positive and negative ions. You start to go ahead and sometimes believe, what the mind tells you, because the mind is a tricky place. It's a labyrinth, and you have to know how to navigate it with a very careful display of skills, and you sometimes can't trust what you are hearing for yourself. So a lot of times we hear this voice, and we can as much motivate ourselves and have affirmations that tell you, what you can do, and how you can make it. You also, have things that, tell you, um, doubt, fear, you know, and you become cynical over, period of your life. I don't know, things you've heard, stuff people have told you. So you end up avoiding some of the things that you feel, some of the things that, you desire or you feel with the passion. And these are two conflicting, driving forces inside of one body. You know, it's, do you follow your mind? You follow your spirit, and how do you balance? And this is the separation where, the pull from the physical world and the invisible world can leave someone torn without even knowing um, that's where my confliction is. The mind wants to go ahead and have things that make sense, logic, conditions. you know um, this goes into understanding frequencies, vibrations. It wants things that are very rigid, you can trust, stability. It looks for things that have structure, because then it can perceive what that can look like. It needs things that move in a slower form. So that's where you get, more of a structured reality where you have a magnetic force here of the mind of the heart, that wants to go ahead and understand things that have yet to be understood, yet to be perceived, but it yearns for something. It's telling you a future that you may not have lived yet, and it lives more in a fluid form, wave. It's rhythmatic, the rhythm to it, and this is where things become less predictable, and it wants to move you out your comfort zone and give you access to areas in life that you may not have yet seen, but you may have dreamed. And so understanding where we're being pulled, pushed, is understanding more of what's in here and what's going on, and how do you identify? Where do you identify? I'm not talking about physical form, all internal. That's where you start to pull apart some of these transgressions that you go through. But yeah, that's just it. Just something on my mind and here. Yeah, so I don't know. What are your thoughts?